All right. All right. And we are live. Welcome in, everybody. I need to figure something out real quick. So hold on just a second. Hola, hola. Welcome, everybody, in. Remember, when you guys get in here, I always like to see. Uh, I always like to see where you guys are from. So if you want to throw up where you guys are listening from, I'm always interested in that. Welcome in, everybody. We're just letting everybody file in before we get started. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Yo, yo, yo. Hopefully everybody is doing good today. Nice. Azam from Pakistan. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Hello from Norway. Hello from Toronto, Canada. Nice, guys. Nice. Denmark in the house. That was I think you're talking about the Trump announcement. Yeah, that was a nothing burger. It absolutely was. All right, guys. All right. Good to see all of you in here today. We are going to get slowly started. Still waiting for a few people to get in here, but we are just chilling. Kamasoda, nice. Cork, Ireland, beautiful. That's my favorite. I think that's my favorite place to announce. Cork, Ireland. Pacific Northwest, beautiful. Don't know where in the Pacific Northwest, but that drive along the coast from Portland to Seattle is just unbelievable. It's like my favorite drive in the world. Any information on the kindergarten hit in Ukraine? Yeah, we can talk about that a little bit today. Very weird instance there. Trying to find the logic in it, and it's eluding me, which usually means that I'm missing a piece of the puzzle. So we will talk about that today. Hayden, why are you such a liar? Good question, homie. Good question. I don't try to lie. I would love you to correct me on any of my posts where you see me openly lying, like presenting information in a false manner or something like that. I don't think that I've ever lied. I have way too many people watching my work constantly that will destroy anything that I do that is not accurate or is not factual in some way. And sometimes it does happen, but usually I talk about mistakes that I make and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know what lying you're talking about, but it's all good. It's all good. Thank you for joining my live stream, by the way. I appreciate you being in here. I like it when the faceless haters come into my live stream and talk to me because it's like they finally actually get to talk face to face. I do that, but you won't admit your mistakes. Okay, well, you're not doing a very good job. You should literally just like quote my whole post and factually destroy it, and then I'll have to respond to it. You just saying something stupid in my comments doesn't qualify that. But yeah, good talk. Okay, let's go, Monster Tank. Greetings from Mexico. Welcome in. Welcome in. There's a lot of misinformation floating around in headlines about sanctions. China and India are not going to stop the purchase of Russian oil. It is nonsensical. We are going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about that today. Okay, Ming, then just send it to me. Send it to me in a DM, and we can have like a conversation about it. I'm not joking. You can DM me. We'll have a pleasant conversation, and we can talk about where I'm lying and where I'm making mistakes. I'm an honest guy. I'll stand up behind all of my work and defend it. So Scott, the president is live. Yeah, I know. And he's talking about how great and amazing killing drug traffickers is in the ocean. I'm not super interested in all that. I don't listen to him talk anymore, guys. When it comes to President Trump, we just don't listen to what he says. He's just lying, and he lied throughout his entire campaign, and that is so clear in this first year in office. Every politician is a liar. That's not a standard that he set or anything, but it is pretty weak. So Live from Palm Beach, Florida. Nice. Please stop feeding the trolls. Never, dude. The trolls built me. That's what you guys have to understand is that the amount of hate I've garnered for like no reason really. Like I'm not particularly mean to anybody. I'm opinionated, but I don't go after any particular group. I'm not like racist. I'm not homophobic. I'm not anything. So there's nothing to really go after me on. And it's helped me become more popular than I could have ever imagined. I owe a lot to NAFO for posting me everywhere and just making me the centerpiece of, their hate. It helps. I know, guys. Why are you bold? Bold or bald? Bald because of genetics. All right, guys. All right, there we go. That's that. We'll relax there with the chat. I can read it all day. We have to get into some discussions today. As you can tell from the title of today's episode, Maximum Pressure. We are going to be analyzing the U.S. sanctions that were just placed on two Russian oil companies that distribute oil to countries all over the world. So primarily what this sanction is trying to do is eliminate the ability for China and other major energy importers from Russia. They want to sanction the fleet of ships that sends crude oil to these countries. And this is specifically seaborne. So not oil that comes over land, but specifically the, quote unquote, shadow fleet of Russia. Unfortunately, the thing about a shadow fleet is that it can operate without, your say-so, the Western say-so, if you will. That's the whole thing about a shadow fleet, right? Is that the West is not in control of it. So Russian oil will still be bought and sold. It will be labeled under a different company. It will be just illegally purchased by China or India. And they're going to continue to profit off of this. It is very clear that the U.S. does not have the leverage to force countries like China or India into actually observing this sanctions regime. However, you are going to see in public, they're going to come out and say, yeah, we're not going to buy oil from these two companies because that is just the easy way to avoid any backlash anywhere else. Does that mean that China's actually going to stop buying cheap Russian energy at a time when energy is at a premium? Absolutely not. That makes no sense. Do you think India is going to stop making an incredible amount of money by refining Russian oil and gas and then selling it to Europe at a markup? I don't think so. And I'm going to actually read to you guys a few of the statements that Putin made today with regards to the sanctions that were just put on just put on Russia. And I just want you guys to think about this. It's obviously theater. I always like to recommend that you don't listen to what politicians say, out in public, because when they're making statements, it's a choreographed dance, right? They're trying to deliver a specific message within a specific narrative. So even when Vladimir Putin is talking, even when Donald Trump, especially when Donald Trump is talking, any politician, you have to sit back and you have to really clearly and very analytically go over everything they're saying, find the logical fallacies in what they're saying, and then try to piece it together in a way that makes it make some sort of sense from the actual position of interest of that nation. I know that's kind of confusing, but when you hear Vladimir Putin talking, he's going to say things that are going to, perhaps stroke Trump's ego or keep open the possibility of negotiations and diplomacy, because that's what a head of state will do. But when you're reading deeper into what he's saying, you will begin to see that those things are just being said for the theatrical aspects of, saving face when it comes to diplomacy. So I'm just going to read a few of the quotes from his speech today. So this is in reference to the Budapest meeting between Trump and Putin. The canceled Budapest summit was postponed by the American side, not by the Russian side. So this is a clear, right here, this is just a clear propaganda outlet, basically. Like, this is just this is a statement that you can ignore entirely. Does anybody think that the Budapest meeting was going to even happen? I didn't. Did anybody think that anything was going to come of it, beneficial? I didn't. No, we didn't see anything come out of Alaska. So why would anything come out of Budapest? So right there, that is a statement that Putin is saying that is not really based in reality, but it garners him political points, right? That's what that is. And so I'm going to just read through a few of these and kind of talk to you about them. This will cost the U.S. dearly, and this is Putin jokingly talking about the EU sanctions, because some of the sanctions were on like toiletries and stuff like that. So already, Putin is not taking this super seriously. Even in his own conversation, he's laughing about the European sanctions. This is the 18th sanction package against Russia. So everything worth sanctioning has already been sanctioned. These other sanctions are not going to be observed, and not they just don't have any leverage or backing anymore. So it's sort of a joke at the higher level. Yes, there will be economic impact from this for sure, but it's not going to be something that, like, say, brings Putin to the negotiating table or hurts the Russian economy to such a point that Putin will be weakened. That's just not going to happen through these sanctions. Another quote, new sanctions against Russia will not significantly affect the country's economic well-being. So he's outright saying that. I mean, you don't have to listen to him. He might be lying. He might be just straight up saying that this is not, he knows it's going to ruin Russia, but he's just saying it's not going to keep face. That could be a possibility. But when you look at his demeanor, when you listen to how he's talking, he's making jokes on stage. This does not seem like some nuclear sanctions, like removing Russia from SWIFT or something. This is not something that is going to greatly disrupt day-to-day life inside of Russia. Another quote, new U.S. sanctions are an attempt to pressure Russia. No self-respecting country ever does anything under pressure. So this is a point that I've been making the entire time. From a Russian standpoint, pressure and aggression is never going to bring them to the table. I don't know if this is just something culturally that the U.S. doesn't understand, or if we just don't care. I mean, I personally am of the opinion that we just do not care about what happens in Ukraine. So we're not really trying to make peace ever. That's not our goal. But you are never going to get peace through a pressure campaign. There's this, it's like an angst and anger. And I see it with the pro-Ukrainian community. People get so upset all of the time. People get so upset with, hold on just a second. Something just happened. No, 19th, I missed one. I lost my train of thought. Hold on. People get so angsty and so revved up, and they think that somehow aggression is going to change the Russian perspective. That bullying this nation, this superpower, it is standing up to the U.S. hegemony right now, is somehow going to get them to bend the knee, and that is just a logical fallacy. It's never been like that throughout our recent history with the Soviet Union and with Russia, and it's just not going to change now. So a external pressure campaign on the Russian state is only going to insulate the Russian state, and sort of a rally around the flag effect will begin to happen. Okay, and then there's just a couple more quotes. Dialogue is always better than confrontation, disputes, or continuing the war. Again, that's just a boilerplate thing that politicians say when they're engaged in a war, because you're not supposed to be, engaged in wars. So that, again, that is just one of those things that you can just ignore and like wipe it out. You're going to read that 50 more times in every Putin speech. The possibility of supplying Tomahawk missiles to Kiev is an attempt at escalation. Russia's response in the case of Tomahawk strikes on Russian territory will be serious, if not staggering. Again, sort of boilerplate. Don't send these missiles. It's going to have negative repercussions. And then the final quote from this speech was, The Russian energy sector feels confident, although certain losses will occur over the new sanctions. So an admission that there will be losses, but the sector, in his opinion, is going to remain stable. So that is just the Russian president's perspective on this. Take it as you will. But clearly you can see that Putin is not worried about this. The Russian, elite right now, the political class in Russia is very much in favor of ending this war, probably in a more aggressive manner. So Putin is in a very, I would say, enviable position as a world leader right now, where people are encouraging him to do more in the war that he is responsible for. Like, that's sort of a good position to be in, because then he can control the speed and tempo, he can control the escalation, and there's nothing domestically that's really that he's going to do that anybody in Russia is going to disapprove of when it comes to Ukraine now, especially when the idea of tomahawks flying into Moscow is, in your brain. This is just not a way to pressure Russia. This is not a way to get Russia to the negotiating table. And I'm just going to ask the chat. I'm just going to ask the chat right now. Do you guys think that this sanctions package, 4 years into the war, this one, where they're just sanctioning 2 Russian oil companies, do you think that this one is going to be the straw that breaks this camel's back? Like, just honestly, like, I don't know what the obsession with this is. I think it's just because there's nothing else going good for Ukraine. This is the only outlet. This is the only area of any success. And it just seems so fruitless. It's not going to work on the Russians. They're not going to bend the knee. And by the way, the Chinese and the Indians are also not going to go along with this. Like I said, you're going to see public statements. We're not buying oil from those companies anymore, but they need to, right? Everybody needs Russian energy. This is not something that can be replaced by OPEC. Absolutely, it cannot be replaced by OPEC. The U.S. isn't going to be able to replace it. Europe is already struggling to, get their oil and gas. So tightening the market is only going to benefit the Russians in the long term. It doesn't. It's like there's no plan. There's no real way forward. They're just trying to get something done somewhere. And at this point, what it feels like is, instead of actually causing regime change in Russia, instead of splitting up the Russia-China relationship, what the U.S. is going to do now is keep Russia preoccupied, keep China preoccupied, and then go after Iran, go after Venezuela, go after these smaller, allies or, members of that faction, and then eventually come back to Russia and China for a larger battle. But that's just my opinion on it. I think that I covered that pretty well. Remember, guys, this is just seaborne. This is just oil that comes across the ocean, which is a pretty decent amount of Russian oil exports. But again, it will just be sent in a shadow fleet fashion. So, they'll just say it's from a different company, or they'll just keep changing it, keep finding ways around. Everybody needs their oil. Seems as sanctions is the only trump card Trump knows. It's the only thing he has. I mean, what else is he supposed to do? Like, what is his option, right? When it comes to Ukraine, like, is he supposed to give more weapons? Every single vehicle in Ukraine is NATO built. Every artillery shell being fired is a NATO artillery shell. Every missile is a NATO missile. What else are we supposed to do for Ukraine? Can we actually do anything to pressure Russia? I mean, we're trying. We've done things all over the world to try to pressure Russia. We're trying to level sanctions. That's what our big weapon should be. Being the economic giant we are, we should be able to bully all of these other countries into at least concessions, maybe not submission, but at least put enough pressure on them. But we just can't anymore. And it's because we wasted our sanctions. We wasted our secret weapon. We just threw it away. I have a question. Is this a casual or full calibration? Okay, so casual calibration is just what I call the live streams now. Okay, so I don't do the map on my live stream anymore. I might bring it up if you guys have a specific question or if there's something specifically important happening in Ukraine. I might talk about it, but the casual calibration is calibrated live. That's what this is. This is just where I'm talking to the chat more. But I'm doing a lot more recorded videos. I'm doing a lot more interviews, and I'm doing a lot more recorded videos. So you'll see a lot more of those. I'm gonna try to do 2 live streams a week where I get in here and I talk to you guys. Let's see. If NATO really wants to, or really, if NATO wants to really hit Russia, they have to get Turkey to block Russian ships entering. They already are. Russian ships, or the Bosphorus has been closed for like 4 years to military vessels, right? Everything that's in the Black Sea has stayed in the Black Sea. Yeah, I think that the Bosphorus is closed. If I remember correctly. I haven't thought about that in years because it was closed in 2022. I feel like the U.S. will lose the dollar as a universal status, and it's downhill from there. Yep. As soon as the U.S.'s dollar is no longer the fiat currency. Yep, you are absolutely right. Hello. Welcome in. Okay. All right, guys. Let's talk about Venezuela. There has been a ton of talk about what is going on around Venezuela. And in my opinion, we are preparing for strikes onto narco targets inside of Venezuela. This will be a precursor to a larger regime change operation, likely involving the opposition party in the country who just was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. If you were wondering what a Nobel Peace Prize means, it means that you're in line with the deep state, whatever that means. But this is likely what we are going to see. We are seeing unprecedented activity over the Caribbean inside of Venezuelan airspace. We're watching bombers do mock test runs for launches like we see Tu-95s doing in Ukraine, or over Russian territory up against the border of Ukraine. Sometimes they do these, practice runs where they are just testing something out, trying something new, or training. And we've been seeing that. We're seeing a lot of assets being moved into the region. The Venezuelans are very openly talking about how they are extremely fearful that an attack is coming. Maduro has organized the militias and got the military on alert, ready to go. But to be honest, guys, I don't think that Venezuela has any shot of preventing a U.S. attack and regime change operation. It's going to be incredibly difficult to withstand that much pressure alone. I was thinking I thought it was going to be difficult for Iran to survive what they already survived in the 12-day war. I think it's going to be incredibly difficult for Venezuela to survive anything of that magnitude. I don't know if it will be at that magnitude. But I think more importantly, the big issue here is what comes after. And this is something that nobody really ever thinks about. We like to go in and force regimes to change and then, install whatever puppet we have in the region. But when you do that, if you go in and you war tear through Venezuela, there are going to be dramatic repercussions, not only in the South American continent, but in the North American continent as well. This is not something that is easily managed at all. A regime change is incredibly difficult. And we've seen it fail in the past with the U.S. multiple times, right? So I think that this is a step in the wrong direction for our foreign policy. I've been talking about strikes on Venezuela coming for a long, long time now. It's just another weak target in the region that we can pick off. We don't have the ability to go after the enemies we want to go after right now, So we're going after the weaker targets in the regions that we dominate. So in the Middle East, we went after the Houthis, we went after Iran, we went after Hezbollah, And then now in the South American continent, we are going after Colombia, it seems, and Venezuela. So those two countries are very, very unhappy with the current U.S. posturing towards them, which is completely understandable. And just the way that the president is talking right now about the recent strikes on Venezuelan narco vessels, there is no reverse gear. I don't know who voted for this. I don't know who decided that no more wars meant more wars, but it's very disheartening. And again, we're headed down a very, very bad path that is going to significantly weaken the U.S.'s position, and nobody seems to be aware of it. There's nobody groundhogging right now, and it's frightening. Full steam ahead to our own destruction is how it feels. How do they guarantee that lady survives a presidency? They don't, and they don't care. She is just a puppet. She is just a spot filler. She can be replaced immediately. She was the replacement to Juan Guaido. They're a dime a dozen. They're CIA cutouts in these countries, all funded by the National Endowment for Democracy or some other U.S. NGO. Yeah, no more wars as president is absolutely correct. It's fucking ridiculous. As a real American who lives in Russia, I can tell you 100% that Russia will never be broken. It will never happen. Yep, that's my opinion of it. I mean, I think Russia could be broken, but I think that Russia would have to be broken internally. It would have to break like the Soviet Union broke, and I don't think that that's where the position Russia is in at all. I don't think it's overextended. I don't think it's bloated past its capacity. I don't think it's got internal ideological issues that are swelling up. I think that it is in a very stable and strong position, especially Putin. Putin is in an extremely strong position in Russia right now. Wow, Scott, the only way to stop a war is with a war. Yep, I guess. Hello, I am late to the show. No problem, Lippy. Welcome. Welcome. Yeah, welcome. Welcome in. All right, guys. That's it for me. I just wanted to actually read a article to you from CNN real fast. I actually have two articles that I want to read. Okay, and then I'll get to whatever questions you guys have. So we're going to bring it over here. Trump sanctions Russian oil as West raises pressure on Putin to end the war in Ukraine. See, this is the fallacy right here. And this is a legitimate thought that Americans and Westerners have, is that you are actually going to be able to pressure Russia with aggressive and hostile actions. They could probably get Russia to agree to a pretty shitty deal for Russia if they just, played the game, but they don't want to. Russian President Vladimir Putin is shrugging off the potential effects of U.S. sanctions on Russia's two largest oil companies, saying that they will not have much of an impact on the Russian economy. Oil prices rose sharply as traders are anxious about the squeeze on global supply. Indian refineries are already moving to slash the imports of Russian oil, Reuters reported. Okay, so here you have random reporting that is very in the moment, and can come from basically any political figure saying, yeah, we're not going to buy sanctioned Russian oil because that would piss the U.S. off. Why would we do that? But that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen, and it doesn't mean that they're not going to find ways around it. So just so you guys know, if you saw that Reuters report. Putin also commented on the cancellation of anticipated meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump, which I talked about, saying that the dialogue is always better than confrontation. See, I get you guys the right news. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky urged EU leaders in Brussels to provide Ukraine with long-range weaponry and to bolster weapons production with frozen Russian assets held by Europe. Of course he did. So what did I tell you guys? What did I tell you? What did I tell you in February? I told you this was going to happen. I hate to do this, but I was right on this, and you have to start listening. The US is not interested in negotiations. We are not going to change our position when it comes to Ukraine. We are going to continue with our stated open policy that has been written down in policy papers. Guys, go read the 2019 RAND papers. This is exactly what they talked about. It just keeps happening in the same exact order as it was written down, and that is extremely suspicious, right? It's like they're almost following the policy papers that were written for them. And, you know, there is no if, ands, or buts. We are seeing the division of labor. We are seeing the U.S. pivot to China. We are seeing the U.S. take out the smaller regimes that are hostile in the regions that they dominate. This is exactly what Pete Hegseth talked about in February. They are going to continue on this hostile pattern and along this hostile path. And you guys just need to be anticipating strikes on Venezuela, massive domestic upheaval and unrest in Southeast Asia, Philippines, Taiwan, obviously, Cambodia, Thailand, Nepal just saw their colored revolution funded by the National Endowment for Democracy. That's going to destabilize the entire Chinese border region, just like we did with the entire Russia border region. This is just our methodology of overextending our enemies and then, you know, picking them apart piecemeal. And it is going to continue like this until either we are defeated or they are defeated. And it's not going to change. So just don't listen to any of the talks, any of the negotiations, any of the peace agreements, anything. It's all fake. The US is on the warpath. That is what we are going to do, and we are not backing down from that at all. At all. All right, let's see if you guys got some questions in here. What's my favorite cheat meal? I like breakfast. So any breakfast place, like I'll crush some waffles or some French toast or chicken fried steak or biscuits and gravy. Dude, breakfast is the bee's knees. Let's see. I live in Russia too. I think there's something that the West underestimates in the Russian spirit, which is resilience. Yeah, and it's crazy because we have the exact same thing over here. Like we have that exact same mindset, and it's just funny that we just think that you guys aren't like the US will never negotiate with terrorists, right? Like that's like our whole thing. We will never be pressured into something by aggression and hostility. Like that is an American sentiment. Absolutely. But we can't transfer that because we think we're better. We're superior. You need to bend the knee to us. That's how our brains work. Did Russia deploy Oreshnik to Venezuela though? No, and they're not. Nobody's going to do anything for Venezuela, guys. It's just too far away. It's too isolated. And like I said, the whole idea about overextending Russia and China is that they are so preoccupied dealing with the shit going on their borders that they can't project their influence anywhere else. So they can't back Hezbollah. They cannot back Bashar al-Assad. They cannot back the Iranian regime. They cannot back the Venezuelan regime. That's the whole idea. That is what overextending Russia is all about. The RAND policy papers. Go read it. Come on, Scott. Trump has brought peace to 8 countries and only half of them are still at war. Yeah, which is funny because that's a funny joke. That's a good joke. And if you don't get it, you're dumb. But he did bring peace to Azerbaijan and Albania. So, woo! That's what's up. He said that like 4 times. He made that mistake like multiple times. That's so ridiculous. Putin said there would be a Russian reaction for Tomahawk. What is it going to be? Well, I mean, we've seen the Russian reaction just in the last couple of days from the Storm Shadows being fired into Russian territory. Didn't ever hear what they hit. I don't even know if they hit anything. A lot of Russian air defense was active, but the reaction was Russia destroyed multiple hydroelectric power plants and thermal power plants up and down the Dnieper River. So Kiev, Chernihiv has been without power for like 96 hours, some parts of Chernihiv. Kiev has been without power. Almost all regions of Ukraine are dealing with like 18 hours of not having power. So like a third of the country is on for like 8 hours at a time. But yeah, that was the response for Storm Shadows, which have already been used inside of Russian territory, being fired into Russian territory. I don't know what the response to Tomahawk cruise missiles being used. But when Putin says something like it might even be staggering, that's usually like an indication that that's the line. And I've said this for a long time. I think that JASSM, Taurus, and Tomahawk are all the line. That's why they have never been sent, right? They were talking about Taurus in 2023. That's the German cruise missile. And those, all of those specific weapon systems cross the Russian red line. And that's why you have not seen them sent. The tanks didn't, the shorter ranged missiles didn't, the guided MLRS didn't cross that red line, but these cross that red line. And that's why I don't think you're going to see them get sent. Late from Tucson. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Biscuits and gravy. What the fuck is that? Hold on. It is the grossest, most disgusting looking food, but it is so, so good. So good. You guys don't even know if you're not from America. It is pork gravy too. So it's like, it looks like garbage though. My dad hates it. My dad absolutely hates it. Here we go. Let me bring this up. Boom! Biscuits and gravy. There it is, boys. Soak it in. Biscuits and gravy. It's so good. It looks like throw up on a biscuit, but it tastes so good. So good. It's not jail food. It's delicious. And my mom made it and I love it. And you guys can go. You can't say ew, by the way, if you're British or something like that, because you guys are eating blood pudding. It's like, come on. Come on, guys. It does look like something your dog regurgitated. Trust me, I'm not saying this is the most aesthetically pleasing meal on the market, guys. That's not what I'm saying. But when you slam like 2,000 calories of biscuits and gravy in one sitting, the nap is like unbelievable. You guys, you got to just trust me. That looks sloppy coming from a Bosnian. Biscuits and gravy are for real. I'll tell you what. That's so funny. What the fuck are biscuits and gravy? Biscuits are a different thing here in Britain. Yeah, I know. You guys have like, your biscuits are like cookies. Ew. And your crisps are chips. Ew. And your chips are French fries. Ew. Ew. It's so gross. I don't want to eat crisps. I want to eat chips, and I don't want those chips to be French fries. Eggs Benedict. I'm not a huge Eggs Benedict guy, but that's fine. Biscuits or cookies? Yeah, I know. Catalina, Sicily, let's go. Come to Cork, Ireland, and have sheep's stomach boiled in milk. I mean, I've had all this food. I've had all this food before, so I know what it is. I'm not talking out the side of my mouth. But you guys put beans on toast. It's like, how is beans on toast different than delicious biscuits on gravy? It's just another mushy thing that you're putting on a piece of bread. Don't get me started on bangers and mash. I know. Sometimes bangers and mash looks so gross, dude. I don't eat pork, but rabbit gravy is good. That's a good idea. I agree with not eating pork. You know what? The Muslims and the Jews might have an idea when it comes to that because pigs are kind of gross. They're kind of like dogs. Like I kind of put them in the same category as dog, and I probably wouldn't eat a dog either, like unless I was super hungry. They're just ugh. And like when you think about like a pig, like I'm not a big pork chop guy. I know some people like pork chops, but it's like bacon and then sausage, and all you're using the pig for is its fat, and it's like pork tastes like human, or human tastes like pork. I was the pig here before we were because we might taste like pork. That might be the thing. Pigs are not disgusting. They're very clean animals. They wallow. They're by definition a dirty animal, and they carry trichinosis. So yeah. Oh, Ukrainian kindergarten attack. Okay, yeah. I'll just talk about this real quick. This is going to bring us down a whole lot here. There was a attack on a Ukrainian kindergarten in the Kharkov region, or in Kharkov city, actually. And it was, I saw a lot of people saying that the attack happened at 4 a.m. That's not true. There were drones over the area exactly when they were filming it in the daytime. If you guys don't know, all all schools in the border regions are underground. So no kids were hurt in this strike on this building. There was actually 2 drones that struck the building, which makes me think that it was intentional that this building was targeted. I don't know why the Russians would target a kindergarten that has been there the entire time. There are other kindergartens in Kharkov that were not struck at the same time. Other schools that were not targeted at all. Just this one school, 4 years into the war, in a frontline city, was for some reason targeted by 2 Russian kamikaze drones. If it was a completely baseless crime and they just sent these drones at this place for no reason, it should be investigated and those people should be punished for that. However, when I look at Ukrainians occupying schools constantly, using inappropriate facilities for things like UAV development and stuff like that, it's hard for me to say that. It's like saying that Hamas isn't using like hospitals and buildings that are residential for military purposes. They do have tunnels under some of those buildings, and there are areas that are not should not be militarized by Hamas that are. This, it's not like you can't sit here and say that Hamas isn't using human shields in some way, because how else are they supposed to fight? There's literally nowhere else they can be. They have to be under the ground. But the destruction that Israel is implementing is not, proportional to the amount of infrastructure that Hamas is using. So those are 2 different things. But there are definitely times when Hamas is not playing by the rules of war, as we would say. And we see the same thing from Ukraine, where they will often occupy buildings that are not meant to be occupied by military forces for this exact reason. Luckily, no kids were hurt, as they were underground, as all schools are in Kharkov. There was 1 man, I believe, on the road that was killed by the explosion. So the question comes up, did the Russians randomly attack this kindergarten with very lightweight explosive munitions in the Garand drones? I mean, they can be 90 kg warheads, but when you're talking about children that are protected in an underground facility, that's not going to do any damage to them, as we saw. If you're just trying to like terrorize the people of Kharkov, I think that there's better ways to do it. This just seems like a way to get everybody pissed off at the Russians. And it seems like a terrible PR move for the Russians in and of itself. So when I said earlier that there's like logical gaps in this whole event, I'm trying to fill them with information that I don't currently have. I didn't get to see the inside of the building. I don't know if the Ukrainians were occupying that building for some other means. If it's just a senseless Russian terror attack, then that needs to be investigated. But I don't know why you would it just doesn't make sense. They've been firing hundreds of drones at the city for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And then today they decided to fly 2 drones into a kindergarten for no reason. If tomorrow they hit another kindergarten, I'll be like, okay, this is a pattern. Something has changed. This is different. But for right now, it seems like there are missing pieces of this puzzle. And I'm going to continue looking for information on it. No, not Patriot AA miss. It was not a. There were videos of the drones coming in. It was not a. It was not a air defense failure. It sounds like a false flag. The only way you would say it's a false flag, the Russians did attack the building. It would be if you said that the Ukrainians were knowingly using the building for another purpose, and then when the Russians struck with the drones, they then pull the kids out and say, look how they're hurting these children in this kindergarten, this, that, or the other. That would be the only way you could consider this a false flag, I think. These were definitely Russian drones, and it does appear that the drones were definitely targeting this building for a reason. Either the kindergarten or the building next to the kindergarten, because the way it looks is like the drone came in and hit the side of the building here and put a huge hole in it. And then the kindergarten, which is on like the first floor next to this high-rise building, had the roof blown in. So it's hard to tell. Let me see if I can find some pictures of that. Go over to our pal AMK's page here, because he posted about it. Let's see if I can find it. I know he deleted the one. Oh yeah, right here. Perfect. This is exactly the video I was looking for. So here you're going to see the roof of the kindergarten here. So this is like the kindergarten facility, I believe. But the way it looks to me is though, because you see that the roof is kind of like broken in, but there was also a fire in the building. So the fire also caused some structural damage that the drones did not cause. But you can see here that I think that this was where the drone actually impacted. You can see here, let me back that up. You can see the level of destruction over here around this, where the actual drone hit. I don't know if there's something in this building potentially, because the drone definitely struck this side of the building, and then this is all, extra damage from the explosive force going out. But this is where the drone hit. At least one of them hit. And so I don't know what could potentially be used in these buildings around this building as well. Remember, this is Kharkov. This is a frontline city. So it's extremely difficult to know. I mean, there's going to be intermingling between AFU and civilians. And if I was a member of the AFU and I was worried about a glide bomb or a drone falling on a very important facility, I might put that facility next to a target that might not be struck because of Russian temperament throughout the course of this war. I might put it in a hospital. I might put it in a school. I might put it in a kindergarten. Not because I want those kids to die, but because I think that nobody's going to die if I put it in that position. So where is the drone? There is video of the drone strike. So there's already one. You can see one has already hit down here. There's a drone. Boom, and it hits that building on the back. So you can tell that it is definitely an intentional strike, because there's already one strike that had occurred earlier, and then as the second one comes in, boom. But no kids were hurt, so that's the good news. Question. When pictures become undeniably, when the frontline picture becomes undeniably dire, why do I always skip one word in like the first sentence? When the frontline picture becomes undeniably dire for Ukraine, the appetite for supplying some version of long-range missiles will become overwhelming, and the U.S. will cross that line, won't it? Very possibly. I have no doubt that the U.S. is capable of that, willing to do it, and considering it. But I do think that there will be actual consequences for that action, and I don't think the U.S. is willing to accept those consequences for Ukraine. That's just my position on it. Like I'm telling you, if it wasn't a way to cross a line, like if it wasn't a line to cross, Torres and JASSM, which have both been talked about, both been asked for, and both have been denied, would have already been sent. So why do those missiles not make it into the country, but Tomahawks would? Especially when Tomahawks are our primary weapon system, our primary cruise missile. We're not going to give those to Ukraine. We don't make enough of them. That's part of our national security. It's crazy. And they would have to deliver also launch platforms, which do exist, but would have to be created basically for Ukraine. Is that some kind of penetrator on the Garen? Yes, the Garen does have a penetrating warhead. It also has an HE warhead. Calibrated. Can Garens be used on the front line? I've only seen a couple of videos of them used on soldiers. Yeah, they're kind of big to be used on soldiers. They have been used on frontline positions from time to time, but they're not the best for infantry, right? They're big drones. They're noisy. You know they're coming in. They can hit an area, but when you're talking about like fortifications and stuff, you kind of need a bigger explosive for that. Like a glide bomb just does so much better against like entrenched positions, like a dugout or something. So using them against frontline is not as probably useful, but I will take you over to my profile where we can look up the, let's see, can I not search on here? Here we go. Looking for some stuff. Okay, here we go. This is a Garen 2. So just search for your question about frontline attacks or sort of stuff. Here is a video of a Garen 2 drone. This is the optical system on a Garen 2 drone striking a moving locomotive carrying fuel. Other Garens later hit the locomotive, causing multiple fires to break out, and I think the whole train was basically lost. This is not a new thing either, but just so you guys understand, you can see here a Garen is also watching the helicopter, which is spectating the scene of the crash, kind of flying in the direction of the helicopter, maybe trying to hit them. But the Garens, the reason why I'm showing you that is because the Garens have optical guidance. So somebody can be controlling them and they can, you know, see visuals on the ground, like a train moving, and then dive and target that train while it's moving, whether it's controlled or with AI. Yeah, so yes, they can definitely attack frontline positions. They just don't regularly because the warhead is not as proficient against infantry targets. Now, if they got an airburst warhead that would, you know, come down and like ruin vehicles or something, then you would probably see them get used a lot more on frontline positions. Allegedly, they're upgrading the Fab, having an engine on it. No, this is not alleged. This is a definite thing that's happened. We've seen Poltava and Dnipropetrovsk be hit by glide bombs now, sort of semi-regularly. So no, they are definitely, they have rocket boosted glide bombs with a range of like 120 to like 150 kilometers. So yeah, no, that is a definite real thing. Russia knows how to shoot down Tomahawk cruise missiles. They did it in Syria multiple times. Yeah, it's just the same as any other cruise missile. But, you know, it doesn't really matter because if you launch more than 10 at any given time, a few are going to get through. Like 10 is enough to saturate attack, even the best air defenses. How would they launch Tomahawks? The U.S. only has 8 ground-based launchers. That's why I said they basically have to be building them for Ukraine. There's too much stuff to protect an RU. That's the problem. Yeah, but I mean, if they want to waste Tomahawks on like less valuable targets that aren't being protected by air defense, then that's their prerogative. Yeah, they use Storm Shadows instead of Tomahawks in the Bryansk chemical plant. Yeah, I mean, they don't have Tomahawks, so they have to use Storm Shadows. But this is nothing new. They've used Storm Shadows on Russian territory before. This is nothing new. It's nothing new, guys. Remember during the Kursk operation, they allowed the Ukrainians. Here, I have this article. I was going to talk about this. Right here. I don't have the full article, the Wall Street Journal. U.S. lifts key restrictions on Ukraine's use of European long-range missiles. No, they haven't. During the Kursk operation, do you guys remember there was that really nice building just north of the Kursk salient? There's like an estate up there. It's like so nice. It's huge. It's like a historical monument, basically. And the Ukrainians attacked it with Storm Shadows or ATACMs. I can't remember. I think it was Storm Shadows. They've used them inside of Russia before. They've struck Crimea before. They hit the Black Sea headquarters with Storm Shadow cruise missiles. That is Russian territory. So it's just, this is like the same story on repeat every couple months. Seems the U.S. lifted restrictions on long-range missiles several times this year. Yeah, every time something goes bad for Ukraine and they have to do something stupid inside of Russia, they lift the restrictions again, even though they never blocked them. So, yeah, it's ridiculous. It is what it is. Let me see if anything is happening that we can talk about here. Let me just do a quick check. Okay, President Trump didn't say shit. And I think that's it. I think that's all I had to talk about today. Sanctions mean peace talks with Putin. Well, they're supposed to. They're supposed to bring Putin to the table. So I don't know if that's going to happen. Waiting to see on that one. But yeah. I think peace talks have been over for a long time, by the way. I don't think that's Shadow Fleet is just ships not insured by Western insurers. That is exactly the case, my friend. Rate Graham Planter's tattoo. Was that the little Nazi tattoo? I don't know who Graham Platter is. Sorry. Was that the guy that got his tattoo turned into like a weird like Celtic thing? It's like a weird Celtic horse. It's like I don't know if that's the tattoo you're talking about. I don't know who that person is off the top of my head. So, did you read Medvedev's X post? Yes. I always say that Medvedev is the basically the mouth that Putin can't be. So here, I'll read that statement to you guys just so you know what Dmitry Medvedev said. Trump cancels the Budapest summit. The U.S. slaps new sanctions on our country. What next? Will there be some new weapons apart from the notorious Tomahawk missiles? ? If any of the notorious commentators still harbor any illusions, here you go. The U.S. is our adversary, and its verbose peacemaker is now firmly on the war path against Russia. Granted, he isn't always actively fighting on the side of the Banderite Kiev regime just yet, but now it's his conflict, not senile old Biden's. Some will obviously say he had no other options now because of the pressure from Congress, etc., but that still doesn't change the most important thing. These decisions are an act of war against Russia, and now Trump is completely aligned with Mad Europe. This new swing of the Trump pendulum has an important upside, though. It allows us to pound the Banderite hideouts with all kinds of weapons without superfluous negotiations holding us back, and to achieve victory in the only place where it is possible, which is on the ground, not behind a bureaucrat's desk, by destroying the enemy, not by making meaningless deals. That's how that feels. That's how that post feels. Oh my God. Listen, I'm a fan of Dimitri's because that is basically boiled down the entire sentiment that my entire being feels all the time right there. And it's so nice to just hear somebody so perfectly articulate it from a perspective that's not my perspective. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, Medvedev can be hella funny. He's the wild card. You got to have one of them. You got to have that guy you keep around who's just the loose cannon, and that's what Medvedev is. Yep, bad cop. Scott, did you get something to eat from food banks help? What? I don't get food from a food bank, no. Personally, I'd rather Medvedev. Okay, listen. You don't want that guy to be your president, though. That's not who you want. The only reason he was president was because Putin was actually president. That's not the guy you want in that position. You want that guy around. You need that guy telling you the reality in your ear. You need him telling you that you're stupid and that you need to change your mind and that this is a bad idea and that you need, I'm not saying that's what he does for Putin, but I'm saying that you need one of those guys. You need a guy that is just on a leash and eventually you can take him off the leash and he does his thing, right? And that's what Dmitry Medvedev is. You don't want that guy as president. You want the Putin guy as president. You need that guy next to Putin because you don't need, Putin being in an echo chamber and isolated and not being told the reality of the situation like Medvedev does publicly, right? I'm not saying that Medvedev is giving Putin ideas or anything, but Putin wants to say those things. Medvedev is the outlet for those statements, and that is very, very important. But you want Putin in control. You want him to be the face. You want him to be the man pulling the strings, I guess you would say. There's nothing wrong from getting food from a food bank. If you are and you cannot afford to buy food, you better save money and use it for other things. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I didn't say that there was anything wrong with getting food from a food bank. I was just saying I don't get. Oh, remark about biscuits and gravy. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you say biscuits and gravy looks like like food like food line food? No, there's no problem with getting food if you need it. Absolutely not. That's not what he was saying. I'm pretty sure he was just saying biscuits and gravy looks like slop food that you would get out of like a cafeteria line. Which is true, but I will not accept it in my chat. Scott, I had to change my plane seat from number 2, Putin and Tucker, to prevent Divinity from kicking your ass. I've got your back. You're welcome. If you guys don't know what he's talking about, Serge on Twitter made a funny airplane thing with a bunch of different people. I'll bring it up here so you guys can see it. And it included me. And lucky enough, I got to sit next to David D, which is funny. That's a classic joke right there. But you get to pick your seat. And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Put me at the back of the airplane, the two biggest dudes in the world, just right next to each other in the back of the plane. David in the middle seat, and then somebody up against the window. Brutal, dude. That's brutal. Because me, my shoulders are like wide as shit. So when I sit in an airplane chair, I naturally like come out over the side. Like I always get hit on my shoulder by like the cart and stuff. It's so frustrating. And then on this side, like if I don't have the armrests, I'm like tucked in like this. You and Prigozhin on the same plane, Monka Giga? Yeah, oh well. We all got to die sometime, right? Would I do a carnivore diet raw meat? No. No, that is not. I mean, a carnivore diet is one thing. Like I think like a paleo diet can be really good if your body doesn't work well with carbs. Like a paleo diet, fruits and vegetables for your uh, filler, and then the protein for your and fat for obviously your carbs and stuff. But I don't think eating raw meat is particularly good for you. I don't think we're designed to eat raw meat. We have our stomachs have evolved over thousands and thousands of years of us cooking, and they're not as strong as they used to be. So it takes you a really long time to digest raw meat, and you can get sick. Um, Not that you will get sick. I'm not. I know that there's plenty of people that do it and enjoy it. Whatever. That's just not for me. I have no interest in doing that. I'll just cook my meat. I'll just cook it. I know you lose some of the goods when you do that, but I don't overcook my steaks. My steaks are usually bleeding still, and so raw meat you waste more energy than you get digesting it. I don't know if that's true, but raw muscle meat can be eaten. Yes, I know. Yeah, I mean, I know you can eat meat raw. Tartar is good once in a while. Yeah, no, and I'm not saying like I'm just saying like a full carnivore diet is very is brutal. Not I mean I like yeah, but not in my like adult life. Like I want to go. Like I want to go and experience it, really experience it. If you go, let me know where you go. I wanted to see St. Petersburg, but I don't know when I'll ever be able to go, if I'll ever be able to go. See you, Azam. I'm almost done. I'm wrapping it up. It was good to see you in here. Carnivore diet, you can cook meat. Yeah, so that I mean, like I get it's carnivore. I don't know if I could just do exclusively meat like that all the time. I know that's the diet. I think I could do paleo for sure, but yeah, I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. Get ready to shit your brains out for like 2 weeks straight. By the way, it'll be like oil coming out of your body. It's terrible, or at least that's what I've heard. I've never done it, but I know people that have done it. Steven Seagal is waiting for you, Scott. Rabbits in polar regions can't be hunted and eaten, and you wouldn't wait, can be hunted and eaten, and you would starve no matter how wait, what? Many you eat because they're almost 100% protein. Okay, well, you're not going to starve. You're going to become malnourished because you're eating just lean protein. I mean, you need fats and stuff. I don't think you starve though, right? Starving is no food. You have food. It's just you're becoming more and more malnourished over time because you're lacking enough food, right? Yeah, no, you can live off of solely rabbits. You're putting matter into your body. You have to be getting energy out of it. No, it's called rabbit starvation. Ooh. I didn't know that was a thing. That's so cool. I'll look that up. Hold on, I'll look it up right now. I need to try this. I need to just eat a bunch of rabbits. Rabbit starvation. Okay, you'll starve to death if you only eat rabbit meat is one of those common refrains you learn when getting into survival. It's a fun fact you might share over a beer. And while it's actually true and worth understanding why, it doesn't actually happen much anymore. We've struggled on documented cases. Oh, okay. So you just solely eat and then you just starve to death. Poor rabbits are kept starving. Show my dogs, Scott. Have you ever showed them on air? Yes, I have. I don't know if they're gonna get up right now. Samantha, do you want to come here and say hi to the people? Come here and say hi to the people. Come here, baby. Come here. She's coming. Oh, she's so old. Come here, baby. Stand up. Stand up, Samantha. Oh, no. No. No, she's not doing it. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. They wanted to see you. I'm sorry. She's mad at me now because I picked her up and she didn't want to get picked up. She went limp. Hey, baby, you're a good girl. She's very sweet, though. This is my girl Sammy, and then my boy Atlas is there, and then I think my boy Hades is downstairs. Yeah, I never know if those are urban myths. That's what I was wondering with the rabbit starvation thing. Our rabbits in Kentucky are fatty. Yeah. I've always wanted to raise rabbits for eating, for harvesting. I think that rabbits are a really cool animal to keep for processing. Do you think you can take on David D in a fight? I would hope so. I mean, I'm like 35 years younger than him, but why am I fighting him? I wouldn't fight David. I don't have anything against David. I feel bad for him. I feel like it's like sad what he's going through and what he has to do to like maintain what he has. Like his Twitter is like his entire life, in my personal opinion. And you can see that in the way he gets extremely desperate in what he does and what he talks about and how he makes stuff up, just completely fabricates shit out of nowhere. No, I pity the person, so I don't want to fight him, but he's an overweight 60-year-old. I would just kick his left knee and his entire ACL, MCL, and LCL would just destroy itself on impact. So I like the stream. Nice. Nice. You came to the slow end part of it, but nice. Welcome in. Rabbit starvation is difficult to believe. I remember the movie Roger and Me about GM layoffs, and they had a lady who was raising, slaughtering, and eating rabbits. I don't remember about other proteins. Yeah, well, I mean, if you're eating other stuff with it, like if you have a potato every now and then, I don't think you're going to starve. Like, I think the whole idea is that you're eating this like super lean northern rabbit that is just pure meat. And when you eat that, it doesn't give you the necessary nutrients. Like, you need fats. You need to have fats in your diet. And if you don't have fats in your diet, eventually, like, your brain dies. Yeah, it only applies in cold regions. Not only that, but also the amount of energy. I mean, I know if you're harvesting them, that's a different thing if you just go out to the pen and kill one. But if you're hunting them, also think about the energy you're putting in for each rabbit. Yeah, protein can be, well, it can replace carbs. You just need fats, yes. That's what keto is. The keto diet is just replacing carbohydrates with fats. You guys are funny. Can we talk about your OnlyFans and not rabbit meat? There's always somebody in here who is just doesn't care about what I have to say, doesn't care about me. They just want me for my body. And that's tough. Because I'm a lot more than that, guys. I'm a lot deeper than that. There's a lot more to Aiden or Scott, whatever you guys call me. My first name is Scott. My middle name's Aiden. Whatever you guys call me. There's a lot more to me than that. I'm not just some floozy that posts pictures. I post pictures and I do political commentary, okay? Get it right. Those big eyes. We know your pain, man. I just poked my own eye with my thumb. Oh my God, that hurt. The people have spoken. They want feet. All right, that's where I'm going to wrap it up. Every time we start devolving into OnlyFans conversation, I think that's where I need to pull the plug on this because it's just getting late. I love you all. Thank you so much for being in here and supporting me today. If there's any big events and news, there will be a live stream on Saturday. Be on the lookout for a video coming out shortly with AMK mapping. We are going to record a video this weekend. And then next week, I should have a video with the Duran. So be on the lookout for that as well. Take care, everybody. Be safe. Enjoy your weekend. Do something for somebody else. Don't be selfish. If you are driving, make sure you do your job and you don't block lanes and cause traffic and stuff, right? If you're in a grocery store, don't stop with your cart in the middle of the aisle and just sit there and be a blockage. Okay? Be good people. Have a good day. Be safe. I love y'all. Goodbye.